My inheritance was nothing more than a lonely ranch in the desolate desert, and my parents, boasting an immense fortune, left me with what felt like a malicious jest. They must have been convinced I would never amount to anything with such a useless piece of arid property. Yet how profoundly wrong they were, completely and utterly misguided. I am Amelia Donovan, the younger daughter of Henry and Margaret Donovan, legendary figures in the high-stakes world of Wall Street finance. Our family once stood as a symbol of unbridled opulence and vast influence, controlling an investment empire valued well into the hundreds of millions. Charlotte Donovan, my older sister, was the ultimate heir to their legacy, poised, brilliant, and prized by our parents like a flawless gem. Meanwhile, I was perpetually the odd one out, never quite aligning with their meticulous plans or lofty ambitions. Instead of embarking on a top-tier MBA program or juggling high-profile client portfolios, I pursued my passion for sustainable energy and tactical consulting, a field my parents viewed as woefully unimpressive, lacking both status and profit. Though they never explicitly told me they were ashamed, the disappointment radiating from them was unmistakable. They simply couldn't see me accomplishing anything extraordinary. Their passing happened so swiftly, so tragically, that it felt like the ground beneath my feet collapsed. Both died in a private aircraft accident en route from New York to Los Angeles. The media clamored with headlines that extolled their extraordinary triumphs and sterling careers. But the worst part, for me, wasn't the overblown coverage. It was living with the knowledge that my parents left this world without ever recognizing my true potential. The reading of their will occurred inside a plush Manhattan law office. Sunbeams streaming through the polished windows made the mahogany conference table glint as if reflecting the Donovan family's reputation. My sister Charlotte arrived in head-to-toe couture, carrying herself with calm poise, her expression one of cool superiority. Aunt Beatrice, in her role as the fiduciary overseer, scrutinized every clause meticulously, ensuring that everything was perfectly in order for my sister's benefit. I sat at the edge of the table, a tense knot forming in my stomach. Despite expecting the worst, I still clung to a faint hope that I might receive a fraction of my parents' abundant assets. Mr. Green, our longtime family attorney, adjusted his reading glasses and proceeded with the formalities. He began by announcing, "All investment holdings, corporate stock, the penthouse in Manhattan, and the liquid assets are hereby transferred to our eldest child, Charlotte Donovan." Charlotte's lips curved into a smug grin, her eyes flicking toward me with a barely disguised smugness. I tried to keep my composure, awaiting the second part of the testament. Then Mr. Green continued, "To our younger daughter, Amelia Donovan, we leave the Donovan Ranch in Arizona." An immediate hush fell over the room, an abrupt, deafening silence. Charlotte's sudden giggle shattered the stillness. It was a laugh so acerbic it felt like it might burn holes in the walls, brimming with contempt and even pity. "A ranch?" she said, voice dripping with mock sympathy. "Well, Amelia, they must have decided you'd handle livestock more adeptly than you'd handle money." Aunt Beatrice's face reflected mild astonishment at the disproportionate inheritance, but her loyalty to the family legacy outweighed any inclination to speak up. She simply tightened her lips. I could only sit there, breath caught in my throat, feeling an overwhelming sense of exclusion. My parents, with assets amounting to hundreds of millions, had left me with a dusty property in a harsh desert. It felt like a direct commentary on their perception of me, a glaring reminder that I was, in their eyes, a disappointment. As Charlotte stood, she placed a hand on my shoulder in a gesture that feigned compassion. "If you ever find yourself strapped for cash," she murmured, "please know I'm here to help, at a fair interest rate, of course." My nails bit into my palms. Yet I forced a calm exterior, refusing to show how rattled I was. Little did I suspect then that the neglected Arizona ranch would become the best inheritance anyone could ever hope for. Nobody present realized I was on the cusp of flipping everything upside down. I left the attorney's office clutching a single envelope which contained the ranch's deed and an ancient rust-flecked key. No trust fund, no stocks, no slice of the towering Donovan empire, and certainly no influential say in any of the family's corporate affairs. Charlotte swept out to her chauffeured car, not giving me so much as a backward glance. I didn't wait around for justification or pity. If this piece of land was the only thing my parents saw fit to grant me, I was determined to discover the real reason behind it. 3 days later, I boarded a modest flight bound for Arizona. After landing near Tucson, I rented a rickety pickup truck. The 2-hour journey to the Donovan Ranch was little more than endless highways, swirling desert dust, and stoic cacti sprawled to the horizon. Finally, a battered wooden sign proclaiming Donovan Ranch emerged in front of me, instantly filling me with an emotional mix of trepidation and curiosity. Sitting on 200 acres of desert terrain, the ranch had once belonged to my grandfather, Lionel Donovan. He was the sole member of the family who truly believed in me. When I was small, he would recount stories of his life here, describing how he immersed himself in experimental projects that people said were ahead of their time. My father, on the other hand, dismissed the place as an ill-fated boondoggle. 200 acres of scorching sand and prickly cacti, where Lionel purportedly frittered away his final days chasing illusions. Dad's casual dismissal, "It's just a wasteland," echoed in my mind. Yet the instant I crossed the creaking wooden threshold, something stirred within me. There was an intangible energy in the scorching wind that brushed my skin, as though the land itself was whispering that hidden marvels were waiting to be unearthed. The main house, a tired, 2-story structure, teetered in disrepair, with steps so frail you wondered if they could bear any weight at all, and windows with warped shutters that whined in the desert breeze. The interior was coated in thick dust, and the scent of musty timber suffused the air. After rummaging through aging furniture and flipping through dusty shelves stocked with old books, my attention shifted to the immense barn looming on the property. It was far larger than I remembered, its structural reinforcements an indication that it might once have safeguarded something more significant than standard farm machinery. My gut told me that this barn was the nexus of the ranch, the place where my grandfather's greatest secrets might be hidden. The barn door groaned when I inserted the antique key, impossibly old, yet it fit perfectly, like reuniting 2 halves of a broken keepsake. Sunbeams lanced through cracks in the aged planks, illuminating a portion of the interior. The faint light revealed dusty crates, aged ledgers, rows of archaic tools, and an inexplicable sense of disquiet. I surveyed the barn's interior layout, and an odd realization dawned on me. The inside area felt even larger than what the exterior would logically allow, as if it concealed more than the eye could detect. A faint memory from my childhood resurfaced. Grandfather. Lionel had once taken me to this barn, swearing me to secrecy about a hidden chamber. As a naive kid, I brushed off his stories as harmless fantasy. But in that moment, I sensed he had been serious. My father searched the ranch countless times, convinced that Lionel had squirreled away something valuable, but never uncovered any sign of it. I recalled the steps from that long-ago conversation with eerie clarity. Tap 3 times on the northern wall, then push the 4th wooden plank upward. My heart pounded as I followed his precise instructions. The plank slid away, exposing a narrow passage framed by swirling dust motes. A hidden staircase stretched into inky darkness beneath the barn floor. With my phone's flashlight in hand, I swallowed my anxiety and began my descent. Each step downwards unleashed an unexpected chill in the air, distinctly different from the scorching sun above. The walls were reinforced, not by casual additions, but a methodical blend of steel and concrete that had been seamlessly integrated. When I reached the bottom, I nearly forgot to breathe. In front of me lay a cavernous, subterranean laboratory. Equipped with a labyrinth of filing cabinets, half-covered desks loaded with geological charts, shelves brimming with dusty documents, and advanced instruments that looked more in place in a high-tech research facility than a dusty farmland setting. Crates were meticulously labeled, many containing mineral specimens. Some had labels that read, "Successful Trial" or "New Composite." At the far edge of the underground chamber, a hefty vault door, coated with decades of dust, stood silently. My eyes flickered across the markings. Although I lacked formal mining expertise, I recognized certain geologic notations referencing potential drilling spots. With trembling hands, I lifted a weathered folder that read, in my grandfather's distinct handwriting, "Lionel Donovan, Lithium Extraction Project." Lithium, I whispered in disbelief. Suddenly, so much of my grandfather's cryptic stories made sense. He hadn't been squandering his final years, but was instead engrossed in unraveling the secrets of a vast lithium reserve situated directly beneath the Donovan Ranch. Hurriedly, I leafed through the pages, discovering detailed extraction methodologies aimed at maximizing efficiency and minimizing ecological harm. Exactly the kind of forward-thinking approach that entire industries had overlooked until recent years. This deposit was poised to be among the richest lithium veins in the country, if not the entire continent, and no one else realized it was here. I approached the vault with bated breath. The lock was old-fashioned, yet robust. I tried Lionel's birth date, no response. Then my father's, still no click. A moment of inspiration struck. Perhaps it was my birth date. The mechanism whirred, and the door unlatched. Inside was a small USB stick, and a folded letter. The letter, written in my grandfather's shaky scrawl, read, "Amelia, I safeguarded this project from relentless profiteers, but I always trusted you'd find it. On this USB are the complete patents and methods for this lithium extraction. Protect it. In the wrong hands, it could bring untold harm, or it may usher in an era of cleaner energy for our world. You must decide." My heart hammered. This wasn't just a deserted ranch. This was a potential gold mine, but it was also a massive responsibility. If my family, especially Charlotte and Aunt Beatrice, uncovered the treasure trove hidden beneath the desert sands, they would stop at nothing to seize it. That entire night, I pored over each detail of Grandfather Lionel's blueprints, cross-referencing them with the physical evidence around me. He had discovered one of the most consequential lithium pockets in America, an essential element for rechargeable batteries, electric vehicles, and renewable energy systems. With that came the potential for billions of dollars, but also the risk that unscrupulous individuals might exploit or ruin the environment. I realized that if I wanted to develop this find responsibly, I had to proceed immediately, in complete secrecy. By sunrise, I had assembled a mental checklist involving 3 key phone calls, one to secure the patents, one to confirm the deposit's authenticity, and one to lock down funding. I wouldn't let my family or anyone else sabotage this resource, with short-sighted greed. The following morning, I stepped out onto the weather-worn porch and dialed the first number, George Harrington, a seasoned attorney specializing in intellectual property. I'd met George during my foray into renewable energy projects. He was discreet, skilled, and possessed the legal clout to protect these groundbreaking patents. "Amelia, it's been forever," he greeted me in a level tone. "An early call means something big is happening, am I right?" Without revealing the full scope, I explained, "I've come across some invaluable technology, my grandfather's work. I need to protect it with absolute secrecy." George wasted no time. Within an hour, I forwarded him a secure digital package containing the entire scope of Lionel's lithium extraction innovations. He promised to file the patents under a layered shell corporation, ensuring no direct link to the Donovan family would appear in any public records. To me, this was a crucial defensive measure. Charlotte would be furious if she ever discovered the patent was out of reach. My second call was to Bella Kim, a renowned geologist who once served as a university professor before transitioning to a career advising top-tier mining ventures. Bella and I had previously collaborated on a green energy study, so she knew my dedication to responsible progress. Amelia? Bella sounded amused. This is quite the surprise. What can I do for you? I need your professional evaluation of something massive, I told her, deliberately vague over the phone. You need to see it firsthand to understand. Intrigued, Bella arrived at the Donovan Ranch 2 days later, bringing sophisticated survey gear. After scouring the property for hours, she returned to me with wide, electrified eyes. Amelia, do you know what you're sitting on? Based on these test results, this could be the largest lithium reserve in the United States, maybe even beyond. If your grandfather's method is as efficient as it looks, it would completely upend the world's supply chain for lithium. Though I suspected as much, hearing it confirmed by an expert sent a wave of adrenaline through me. If we managed to harness the deposit responsibly and refine my grandfather's approach, we might become pioneers in the shift toward cleaner energy. Bella pledged her unconditional support, offering to help finalize the extraction techniques, until we reached a position of unassailable market dominance. The third call was to a man named Owen Chambers, an influential venture capitalist known for pumping resources into disruptive startups and innovative green technologies. He was well regarded for sniffing out the next big thing, not to feed his ego, but to spur meaningful changes. Owen, I've uncovered something with the potential to alter the entire lithium market, I told him. His interest was immediate. I'm in Los Angeles for a few more days. If your claim is real, I'll check it out. We arranged a discreet meeting in a low-key executive suite. Over the course of several hours, I revealed a portion of Grandfather Lionel's notes, carefully omitting any location details or genealogical links to the Donovan name. When Owen finished reading the documents, I saw genuine astonishment etched on his face. So you're telling me you have not just a significant lithium deposit, but also a novel extraction technology that reduces overhead and environmental damage? I nodded. I'll need capital and strategic connections to make it viable on a large scale. But I refuse to compromise on the environmental aspect. Owen gave me a measured smile. Count me in for $100 million. You'll form a new entity, no mention of your surname, if that's how you want it. We'll keep everything under wraps until we're ready. That was exactly what I had anticipated. Rather than tying the new company to the Donovan brand, I founded Teralith Solutions, an entity shielded by multiple layers of corporate anonymity. Within weeks, every patent, every legal right, and every newly acquired drilling permit was set under Teralith's name. The hush-hush nature of the operation ensured that Charlotte and Aunt Beatrice would remain oblivious, believing I was merely whiling away my time on an irrelevant desert ranch. In a matter of months, Teralith Solutions transformed the once-neglected Donovan Ranch. Where others spotted only cacti and sand, we constructed the foundation of a cutting-edge lithium extraction site. My team, which included Bella and a core group of skilled engineers, relentlessly refined Grandfather Lionel's blueprint, enhancing it for modern industrial applications. We were able to reduce typical extraction costs by an extraordinary margin and drastically minimize the impact on the local ecosystem. No one suspected that the worthless ranch belonging to the lesser Donovan daughter would soon be recognized across tech and environmental circles as a game-changer. Then, in a flash, Teralith Solutions burst onto the global stage, finalizing massive contracts with leading automotive and electronics corporations that were starving for stable lithium supplies. Tesla, major smartphone manufacturers, and even global battery producers showed interest, catapulting Teralith from an unknown to a heavyweight in months. The financial press awakened to the phenomenon. Teralith Solutions, the secretive startup reshaping lithium extraction, the headlines roared. Overnight, the company's value soared from a modest $100 million initial infusion to a staggering $1.2 billion. With that kind of meteoric rise came intense media scrutiny, and I knew it wouldn't be long before Charlotte discovered what was happening. And sure enough, early one morning, my phone buzzed with an incoming call from an unmistakable number. Charlotte, the sophisticated queen of the Donovan Empire, was on the line. If my story resonates with you so far, please hit the like button or comment Amelia below to show your solidarity. Your support truly keeps me going. I answered, forcing a neutral tone. Hello, Charlotte. Surprised to hear from you. Her voice was taut with alarm. Amelia, I need you to confirm something. Is Teralith Solutions your operation? The entire business world is buzzing about it. Feigning mild amusement, I replied, Teralith Solutions? Yes, I'm aware it's making headlines. Why do you ask? She exhaled sharply. Amelia, why keep me in the dark? We're family. We should be collaborating on something of this magnitude. The mention of family struck a nerve, recalling the day Charlotte ridiculed me in the attorney's office. You're referencing the same family that saw fit to hand me a worthless piece of desert land while gifting you hundreds of millions in assets? There was a pause before she tried a diplomatic tack. Mom and Dad wouldn't have wanted you to hoard such a life-changing discovery. This is bigger than personal grudges. We can work together. My resources are extensive, but I saw right through her attempt. I'm already more than satisfied with Teralith Solutions' current direction. We have all the backing we need. Good luck with the Donovan Empire. She turned chilly. You don't understand the complexities. You can't do this all by yourself. And controlling a crucial commodity like lithium can draw unwanted attention. A wry smile spread across my face. I assure you, Charlotte, I know exactly what I'm doing. Feel free to test me if you think otherwise. I ended the call. In less than a week, Aunt Beatrice, who was effectively the family's behind-the-scenes power broker, delivered a series of formal notifications alleging that my grandfather's intellectual property rightfully belonged to the broader Donovan estate, thus demanding an immediate transfer. They threatened a legal onslaught, but I had thoroughly prepared. The patents, re-registered under a carefully established trust, were ironclad. Teralith Solutions was shielded by a shell network, leaving no direct line to the Donovan name. Even if my father once searched for that subterranean lab, he never found it, and all the relevant documents were now secured or relocated. Their legal claims collapsed as swiftly as they were filed, prompting a rare emergency family council. In the Donovans' lavish Manhattan townhouse. Initially, I saw no reason to attend, but on second thought, it seemed worthwhile to witness their panic firsthand. I walked into that expansive conference room, a space brimming with dark marble and the faint echo of countless deals hammered out by my father, recalling how they once dismissed me like an afterthought. Now they regarded me with wary eyes, uncertain how to proceed. Aunt Beatrice launched into her measured speech. Amelia, we need to talk about serious concerns regarding the Donovan family's holdings. Hands in my pockets, I surveyed each face. Family holdings? I repeated, thinking back to how unimportant they considered me before. Charlotte attempted a conciliatory expression, interlacing her fingers. We can do remarkable things if we coordinate. Teralith could ascend to unimaginable heights. Instead of replying, I retrieved one of Grandfather Lionel's notebooks from my bag, flipping to a page where he had scrawled, "Only Amelia believes in this land's true potential." Then I quietly read it aloud, letting the significance hang in the air. In the hush that followed, I set the notebook down and calmly said, "My parents never believed I could accomplish anything of worth. That was their critical error." Leaving my stunned relatives, I walked out with a surge of triumph. The story was far from over. I knew them well enough to suspect they'd intensify their pursuit. My success turned everything they knew about me on its head, and Donovan pride would not let them back down easily. But I had erected a fortress of legal, financial, and operational defenses that shielded me from their grasp. A few days passed before Charlotte invited me to dinner at an exclusive restaurant in Midtown Manhattan. Intrigued, I accepted, intending to observe her next move. She'd already tried the direct approach. I suspected she'd pivot to a more cunning tactic. She greeted me at a candlelit table, 2 glasses of red wine resting in front of her, the flicker of the flame reflecting in her eyes. After meaningless pleasantries, she cut to the chase, whispering in a tone heavy with contrived sincerity. "We both know Teralith is bigger than just one person. My connections in finance could propel it to even greater success. We'd be unstoppable as partners." I measured her words, swirling my untouched wine. "Why do I suspect you want to partner only to gain the upper hand and eventually edge me out? History suggests precisely that." Her practiced composure wavered. "Amelia, you're acting like we're enemies. We're siblings. Maybe we never got along well, but surely we can find common ground in a venture of this scope." I let out a soft, derisive laugh. "You mean the way Dad found common ground with grandfather Lionel? Locking him out of any real decision-making, until he had no choice but to vanish into the desert with his last invention?" Charlotte's mask cracked. "That's not a fair analogy." Undeterred, I pressed on. "Your brand of synergy would see me replaced by board members loyal to you, or forced into a subsidiary role while the Donovan name takes front and center. You can't fool me with empty offers anymore, Charlotte." Sighing, she muttered something about me being short-sighted. I drained the last of the water in my glass, left the wine untouched, and stood up. "Good luck with your other investments. Teralith is thriving, without your involvement." I left her at the table, frustration coloring her face as I made my exit. Aunt Beatrice called me soon after, her voice quivering with emotion. "Amelia, you're tarnishing the Donovan legacy. This is not what Henry and Margaret would have wanted." I gripped my phone tighter, remembering how invisible I felt when my parents lived. They'd be appalled, all right, but at their own misjudgment, not mine. Then I hung up, effectively slamming the door on their illusions. The weight I felt lifting off me was immeasurable. I was my own person now, not defined by their approval or disapproval. In the subsequent weeks, Charlotte's impeccable facade started to crumble under financial pressure. While she was once the uncontested star of the Donovan fortune, a series of speculative real estate deals turned sour, forcing her to liquidate high-end assets at a loss. The broader global economy was shifting, and the family's traditional holdings were ill-prepared to pivot. Meanwhile, the meteoric rise of Teralith Solutions showed no sign of stopping. Before long, I learned from business news that Charlotte's primary residence in Manhattan, a lavish penthouse, was now on the market to cover her debts. I quietly instructed one of my shell companies, already flush with Teralith stock valuation, to secure it at a significant discount. 2 weeks later, Charlotte phoned me, her once unassailable confidence nowhere to be found. We met in a subdued cafe in a less ostentatious part of the city. I found her waiting, shoulders hunched, eyes shadowed by worry. The moment I sat across from her, she rasped, "Amelia, that penthouse, you bought it, didn't you? Please, let me buy it back from you. I just need more time." I locked eyes with her. In that moment, I felt empathy mix with the memory of her haughty gloating, the day she humiliated me before the entire family. "You're correct. I saw a lucrative opportunity," I replied in a level tone. Her hands trembled. "I just need a little leeway. I could repay you eventually." I stared at her, unflinching. "No." That single syllable seemed to drain all color from her face. Taking a measured breath, I continued. "You recall the day at the attorney's office, Charlotte? You laughed when I got the ranch. You even mentioned that I should ask for help if my finances ever became dire." She swallowed, unable to form a response. Picking up my coffee cup, I told her, "If you need assistance now, contact Teralith Solutions Investor Relations. I'm sure they'll treat you fairly." I left her there, crestfallen. While I'd never intended to destroy my sister's life, I refused to cower beneath her or the Donovan legacy ever again. The ranch, my useless inheritance, had evolved into a testament of my independence and my capacity to succeed without the blessing of a family who deemed me worthless. Life at the ranch, ironically, grew more peaceful after each of these confrontations. The research facility steadily expanded, with new labs erected to examine alternative metals and cutting-edge battery chemistries. I spent evenings reminiscing about Grandfather Lionel, imagining the satisfaction he'd feel if he saw the place, buzzing with discovery and collaboration, just as he once dreamed. Before long, I received a letter inviting me to speak at the commencement ceremony of my old high school, where I spent years feeling overshadowed by my older sister's shadow. The theme, finding value in the overlooked, was painfully appropriate. A faint smile tugged at my lips as I read the invitation. My parents had never believed in me, but their belief was irrelevant now. I believed in myself, and that was enough. On the day of the ceremony, I took a quiet moment in my ranch office, gazing at old photographs. My father's guarded smile, my mother's resolute posture, Charlotte's polished grin, and me in the background with eyes still shimmering, with unspoken dreams. I breathed deeply, letting a calm sense of closure settle over me. If you've been moved by how this journey has played out, drop a TeamAmelia in the comments or give this video a thumbs up to let me know you're cheering from the sidelines. I've come to realize that success means discovering your own power, even in the face of those who refuse to recognize it. Vengeance, in the end, proved unnecessary because my accomplishments spoke volumes. My family's validation no longer held significance. Instead, I earned my own respect and that of the larger world that saw the potential of Teralith solutions. So, here I am, a once-ignored daughter, standing at the forefront of a revolution in lithium extraction. It's true that life, at times, hands you gifts cloaked as curses. My parents believed they were casting me aside with a worthless plot of desert. Yet, ironically, it was within this scorching, seemingly barren expanse that I nurtured the vision and fortitude to establish a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. That, in essence, is the real treasure, surpassing any stock portfolio or trust fund. If you've enjoyed witnessing this transformation, make sure to hit like and subscribe for more inspiring stories coming your way. Your support fuels every step of this adventure.